Choosing a hotspot. What factors should be taken into consideration when choosing a hotspot of a manufacturer or another? Among many factors, remember that each stage is a different world, and therefore, the choice will always be marked by the installation requirements. But basically, we have to consider the following points. Easy to use, not only by the owner hotspot, if not for their potential operators that is. Those operators authorized to provide the service to customers, such as hotels and restaurants. The service can be facilitated by a receptionist, a waiter, or an assistant, who should not and need not know how to use a PC, a computer screen, and in 99% of cases should not have access to and even the possible management team. We have many cases of customers who had purchased computers running on open applications that were not supported in more forums, or low-cost equipment to those who simply were implementing firmware with some features that emulate the not complete core characteristics of a hotspot, and have finally been pushed to do a double investment to realize that the previously acquired was not a hotspot to use, but more or less a Wi-Fi router with advanced functionality and a little else. Sturdiness. Hotspot system has to be robust, scalable, and with little or no maintenance by the customer. For that, we must work with manufacturers that provide this robustness and scalability. For example, it is not advisable to use third-party hotspots or unreliable, of which on the one hand, we have no guaranteed robustness of the system, nor have the safety of the system to be scalable and relying on patches. If bugs are found, that may not come out. With hotspot systems, for IPNet, we have a very robust complete solution. Firmware specifically designed and tested for hardware for IPNet, with a working group that is in a continuous development of new features and optimizing their current versions, ensuring scalability of our hotspot. Autonomy. The system must be capable of operating 24/7 and independently, without the need for an operator time to time accessing equipment and managing it, and avoid having a team that needs to be reset each time it is saturated or just becomes unstable. With hotspot systems for IPNet, you do not have to worry about this issue. Our devices are designed to work 24/7, 365 days a year, and are completely unattended. Not all manufacturers are able to offer this feature. Features. Sometimes we can find hotspot systems that offer plenty of features. It is very important to check the functionality of the product datasheet before opting for an option. For the hotspot for IPNet, we highlight the different types of authentication features. Local and on-demand accounts own internal databases, POP3, LDAP, Radius, Windows Domain, and SIP authentication. So it is possible to integrate user authentication system to the present system of our customers, or use for IPNet own. Captive portal customization, ability to manage multiple types of users, policies, and user profiles. You can create different service areas. For example, employee network, another guest, red. Ability to keep a log of all network access. Ability to centrally manage access points of the network. Should be wireless or at least monitor all network nodes. Multiband offers to have one or more outputs and ensure internet service line against falls, failover, and even load balancing mechanisms. Security. One of the most important points in any system is to ensure security on our network and prevent users that can communicate with one another, and of course, our internal services, servers, cameras, etc., that we have on the facility where hotspot is installed. This requires that there is firewall functionality on the device itself. For IPNet, there are firewall rules for each user policies, so that you can configure your network so that a user can access certain resources and not others. For example, an employee must be able to access a content server on the network that we, as a guest user, do not have access to it. To this, and rules are generated in the firewall. Log. Today, almost everyone uses the internet daily, either with laptops, smartphones, iPads, or any other device, OS independent. So consequently, we can say that there is a continued use of internet access, and increasingly. This use may be good, but as always, there are malicious people who use internet access for illegal acts, phishing, identity theft, access to pedophile contents, etc. So one of the characteristics that must be taken into account when purchasing a hotspot is its ability to keep records, log, of all user access, without infringing its previous privacy notice on the captive portal. But if reflected in a record, at least the MAC address of the computer that has been associated, the username, time, and IP accessed. So if a crime occurs, to act to associate the specific user and take appropriate action. Added value for the system log for IPNet is performing sending every 3 days, mostly by email log files, so we do not depend on external syslog server to store all information in the log. Characteristics of added features. As always, to opt for one or the other, besides comparing the performance of each other, always look for that something that runs to make you decide on a particular vendor. For IPNet teams with one of these added values, it is certainly the possibility of acquiring a small network driver and ticket printer to facilitate the creation and generation of tickets for users without access interface configuration. Not all hotspots offer this possibility, and is increasingly being most in demand. Another outstanding feature may be the ability to manage up to 8 reach service areas, hotspots, with one controller. Can also share the same AP to cover one or more service areas, thus exploiting the same infrastructure APs for one or more service areas, hotspot.